This is an inspiring and true story of a young woman who was rejected by her husband due to her perceived lack of beauty. Before we begin, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest videos. Feel free to share this story widely. Sarah often told me, "I was rejected because of my looks, wasn't I? Just you wait and see. I'll prove that people who aren't considered beautiful can still live fulfilling lives. I will show the world that outward appearance isn't as important as inner character." Sarah was my neighbor. We grew up together, and being classmates, I was closer to her than to her other sisters. There were 3 sisters, and they had no brothers. Emily and Jessica were already married, while Sarah, being the youngest, was still single. Her widowed mother was increasingly worried about finding a suitable match for Sarah. She often reminded Emily and Jessica to focus on their younger sister so that she could finally be relieved of this responsibility. One day, Emily shared good news with their mother. A brother-in-law of a relative had entrusted her with the task of finding a girl from their family for him to marry. Emily mentioned Sarah to Richard, this relative, and suggested he visit their mother's house to take a look at her sister. "I don't need to see the girl, Emily. Aunt will take care of it. Your sister must be just like you, right?" "Yes, she is quite like me," Emily replied. "Then that's perfect. Emily, a life partner like you is exactly what I'm looking for." When Emily said, "like me," she meant in terms of obedience and being well-mannered, whereas Richard interpreted it in terms of looks and appearance. And in looks, Emily was not just beautiful, but exceptionally so. Richard simply assumed that if Emily was so beautiful, her sister Sarah must be the same. Richard was related to Emily through her husband's side. If he were a direct brother-in-law, he would have known what Sarah looked like. Regardless, it wasn't customary for Richard to personally see the girl beforehand. Mothers usually handled the initial viewing and selection. So, Richard's mother accompanied Emily to her mother's house, and she liked Sarah at first sight. Mothers look beyond just beauty when considering a daughter-in-law. They seek other virtues as well. When Richard's mother spoke with Sarah, she observed her politeness, good manners, and overall fine character. Impressed, she gave her approval and happily informed her son that she had found a suitable match in Emily's sister, praising Sarah highly. Richard was pleased to hear that he would be marrying Emily's sister. Emily's exemplary life was well known to them. She was beautiful and had brought a substantial dowry, as her father had left a considerable amount of money and property. She was highly respected in her in-laws' family. Beauty and wealth often cover many flaws. Even if a wealthy girl is not particularly skilled in household management, it is often overlooked. However, Emily was both well-mannered, simple, and had brought a generous dowry. It was this combination that had inspired Richard's mother to consider Sarah as a daughter-in-law, unaware that while Emily and Jessica were beautiful, their younger sister Sarah had an ordinary appearance and a darker complexion. Unable to compare with her sisters in looks, though in character, she was far superior. Nevertheless, after a couple of visits, Richard's mother was satisfied that she had made a good choice. Soon, the wedding date was set, and it was a swift engagement to marriage. But on the wedding night, a night filled with dreams for Sarah, those dreams shattered into pieces. The moment Richard lifted the veil, his first question was, You are Emily's sister, aren't you? You don't look anything like her. I don't understand, Sarah asked, looking at her groom with questioning eyes. Well, she is very beautiful, fair-skinned, and you are the opposite. Can sisters really have such a contrast in appearance? Richard's greeting struck Sarah's delicate heart like a blow. She composed herself. Richard didn't stop there, saying, I don't know what my mother was thinking. I never imagined she would choose such a wife for me. She didn't tell me anything about your appearance. My mother kept saying, you were just like Emily. I trusted my sister-in-law and her mother. I didn't even ask for a picture. I made a big mistake. I can't live with you. We won't get along. It was as if at first glance he rejected his life partner, showering his bride with hurtful words. Sarah sat there, stunned and lost. The dream she had just moments ago had turned into shards of glass, broken beyond repair. Despite her efforts to remain composed, tears welled up in her eyes, and her dreams dripped away as teardrops. She silently shed her sorrow, while Richard's tongue lashed out like a venomous snake. Criticisms of her looks, taunts about her complexion wounded Sarah to her core. When she finally broke down, instead of comforting her, he got up and left the room, leaving Sarah alone on the thorny bed of her shattered dreams, suffering mental anguish without any fault of her own. He returned to the room before dawn, wanting to be present with his bride before anyone awoke, so no one would misunderstand. The next day was the reception, and he laughed and talked with everyone as if nothing had happened the night before. Sarah wondered how men could be so cruel and heartless. How could he wear a smile and socialize with everyone after destroying her life and crushing her dreams? A month passed in silence. Sarah was a brave girl. She resolved to face the situation with wisdom and courage. However, her mother-in-law sensed that something was amiss. She asked her daughter-in-law, "Why do you both seem so distant? Please ask your son, Richard." That question, Sarah replied. The mother-in-law's suspicion turned into certainty. That evening, when Richard came home, his mother called him to her room and asked, "You seem troubled. Your behavior towards your wife is also cold. What's wrong, Richard? Did Sarah say something, or did she make a mistake? If so, tell me and I'll talk to her." "Mom, I absolutely cannot accept her. You have done me a great injustice. Out of the whole world. Was this the only girl you could find for your only son? Was this the only moon left for my courtyard? If you had found someone even darker, would you have made her your daughter-in-law too? I didn't think your taste was this poor. Mom, I trusted you, and my trust has betrayed me. Couldn't you have at least considered her complexion? And why did you tell me she was just like Emily? I thought she would be as beautiful as my sister-in-law." "What do you mean, Richard? What's wrong with Sarah? She is a good girl. In today's world, you won't find a more well-mannered girl. Looks aren't everything. Son, she is a girl who could make your home a paradise." "I don't want such a paradise, Mom." "But why are you rejecting her? What is that poor girl's fault?" "What is my fault, Mom? I considered Emily my ideal. How was I to know that her own sister would be so undesirable? How can I live with this unattractive woman? My heart doesn't feel happy looking at her. So how can I live with her? She doesn't have even one quality, like Emily. She is such an oddity. I can't keep her. I will divorce her." Hearing these words from her son, Richard's mother was shocked. "Don't you dare even mention divorce. This has never happened in our family. Once married, you must make it work. You also have to uphold our family traditions." "All right, Mom, if divorce doesn't happen in our family, then you take care of your daughter-in-law yourself. I'm leaving. You can live with your beautiful daughter-in-law." Saying this, Richard went to his room. When he threatened to leave the house, his mother became worried. She had been a widow for a long time and had spent her life for her sons, never thinking of remarrying. She remained silent, only praying that God would guide Richard and create love for Sarah in his heart. Richard maintained his distance from Sarah. His mother-in-law constantly advised Sarah to be patient, assuring her that God would improve her life and that if she diligently did all of Richard's work, one day he would be hers. Sarah followed her mother-in-law's advice. She did all her husband's chores herself, served her mother-in-law, and took care of her like a daughter. But she still couldn't win Richard's heart or force him to love her. Richard's indifference remained firm. One day, some guests had come, and Richard was sitting with them. He told Sarah to make tea for the guests. She obeyed and served cakes, samosas, and tea. When she placed the plate in front of Richard, he picked it up and threw it aside, saying it wasn't clean. However, the plate was perfectly clean. He had done it only to humiliate her in front of everyone. Ashamed, tears filled Sarah's eyes, and she went to her room. A stream of unstoppable tears flowed from her eyes. There was no one to wipe them away. Making her pillow her confidant, she surrendered all her tears to it, not knowing at what hour of the night sleep would come to relieve her from this agony. After the guests left, Richard also left the house and didn't return all night. Richard's mother became increasingly ill with worry over his behavior. When she tried to reason with her son, he would become agitated, saying that if she bothered him too much, he would divorce Sarah and leave. He considered it his kindness that he kept her in the house despite not wanting her. His mother would tell him to open his heart and see that Sarah was a gem, and he should learn to value her instead of chasing temporary beauty. Richard would often snap at his mother. She began to blame herself for the ruin of these two lives. 8 months passed for Sarah, filled with suffering. During this time, she rarely visited her own family. One day, her sister Emily came to visit and found Sarah sad and withdrawn. Emily asked, "What's wrong, Sarah? Are you not happy here?" Sarah replied, "I am happy, Emily, but Richard is not." "Does he treat you badly?" "Not exactly badly, but the way he treats me is not good either." That's all the heartbroken Sarah could say. Richard overheard their conversation. He said nothing while Emily was there, but after she left, he made the firm decision he had been contemplating for days. Using the excuse of hugging his sister-in-law goodbye, he handed Sarah some papers one day and said, "It's better for both of us to live our lives as we wish rather than continue being miserable together. You are free from me. Live with whomever you want. I also want to marry a girl who works with me at the office so that I can find the happiness I couldn't find with you. She is very beautiful, and we get along very well." Sarah stood there holding the divorce papers. She told her mother-in-law, "Please don't advise me to be patient anymore. Richard has made his decision about me. Please take me to my parents' home." Hearing these words, her mother-in-law wept, hugged her, and said, "Forgive me, daughter. I had hoped for the best for you, but everything went wrong." With blessings, the mother-in-law finally bid farewell to the unfortunate, plain-looking girl. Sarah returned to her mother's doorstep in tears. When she showed the divorce papers to her mother, there was an uproar. Instead of scolding Richard, her sisters blamed her, accusing her of not behaving correctly, which led her husband to take such a drastic step. Even though he had married her willingly, Sarah listened to everyone silently, wondering if the pain inflicted by her own family was more bearable than the sea of torment she had just crossed. No one hugged her or offered comfort. In the evening, when I went to her house, she clung to me and wept uncontrollably. All her restraints broke. What comfort could I offer her when she was more understanding and resilient than I was? I was taking a training course at a sewing center in those days. She enrolled in the same center with me, even though she didn't need to, as she was already an excellent seamstress. The teacher was amazed by her handiwork. Sarah completed her diploma. I admire this girl's strong determination and courage. She had stopped studying after her intermediate exams. She completed her education, took an IT course, and also started her own boutique. Soon, her boutique became famous. A young man from our neighborhood, Usman, had come from America. When he heard about the boutique's reputation, he asked his aunt to show him Sarah's work. When he saw the clothes in her boutique, he ordered some garments. He then took them to America, where he had a business, and the clothes were very well received. Usman placed more orders with Sarah, and she made many garments according to his specifications. Luck smiled upon him, and his business flourished in America, yielding great profits. Usman proposed marriage to Sarah, and she accepted. After marrying Usman, she moved to America. She returned to Pakistan 6 years later and met me. I was overjoyed to see her happy. Her husband, Usman, loved her immensely. Today, Sarah lacks nothing. It is true that only a jeweler knows the worth of a diamond. With Sarah's support, Usman's business had thrived. They were living a happy and prosperous life. She had indeed proven her words that if a person strives and does not lose heart, they can achieve their goals even if they are not considered outwardly beautiful. Meanwhile, Richard had married a girl from his office, according to his wishes. This girl didn't allow Richard's mother to stay with them for even a month, and the mother had to move in with her other son. Richard's wife constantly made unreasonable demands and quarrels, making his life miserable. According to his mother, Richard now remembers Sarah, but it is too late. He is helpless. He has lost his mother's support, and now he has to bear with the woman he chose and the mother of his children. This brings us to the end of today's moral story. The purpose of sharing this story with you is to show that beauty is not just an outward appearance, but a person's true beauty lies in their character, patience, and resilience. This story teaches us that if a person faces difficulties in life with courage and determination and does not give up on their goals, they not only achieve their destination, but also become a beacon of light for others. Remember, true success is that which is achieved through inner beauty, not temporary glamour.